It is June 30th, and it is another Friday. So it is the end of the week and also the end of Pride Month. Hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, I'm here with Mrs. GreySquirrelPatriot. She had a little laugh over that.
Hey, everybody.
Are you excited that Pride Month is over?
Yes, I'm very relieved that there's no more Pride this year. We're all set.
Enough with the rainbow.
We've had enough Pride for the whole year.
Actually, I have to say, as far as Pride Months go, this was probably one of the least obnoxious we have had, as long as I can remember that it was a thing.
Yeah, a lot of toned down stuff, no more. Not as many rainbow logos on all the social media, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think corporations saw what happened to both Bud Light and Target and decided, you know what, we might want to tone things down a little bit. I always get a kick out of Pride Month when we have the all these companies, they get out there, they act like they're all woke and, act like they're taking a stand for social justice, by, fighting for rights that people already have in a country where these people are already accepted, but they turn a blind eye to those countries that they do business with that don't accept it. Now, wouldn't that be really where you want to make your stand if you believed in these things? Like, maybe if you're an international company like Disney, maybe you'd want to stand up for Pride and Pride Month in Saudi Arabia. Even Japan, I guess, pushes back on it. And,
wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, you're no hero by fighting for some rights or anything that people already have in a place where it's already accepted.
Right. At that point, you're just shoving it down everyone's throat.
Yeah, you are. You're
shoving. More prideful.
Yeah. Or you're just really virtue signaling. That's what it is,
Yes.
So, but everyone observed Bud Light and saw what happened with them, and then even before we got off the ground with Pride Month, Target, who, they really pushed things just a tad too far, and are still facing backlash for it.
Yeah, they were a little much with their satanic merchandise and all of that stuff.
That was the thing that got me and got you. We were less upset about the children's tuck-friendly bathing suits than we were about the satanic messages. We thought that was the bigger issue, but hey, it's one of those type of things. Target is still dealing with backlash over that. And quite frankly, I hope Target, goes under, be totally frank. I just, what they have been doing as a company and the organizations that they have been funding are disgusting.
Yes.
I know you've decided you won't shop there anymore, and
never.
And actually I was never a fan of it to begin with. So, I won't be shopping there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they're hurting. I want to see somebody absolutely, get destroyed, because I want it to be a huge message for other companies. And it seems to have been. I think a lot of companies have been looking at what happened to Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch and obviously Target. And I think Disney, too, is another one that, I mean, I just saw today or yesterday that their stocks have been downgraded, as far as, recommendations as far as whether they're a good stock to buy. Sometimes when a company sees a dip in their stock value, people are like, oh, well, now is a good time to buy, buy low, sell high. And apparently Wall Street doesn't think that with Disney. They already came out and said that about Target about a week ago. So that just means Wall Street is expecting those values to go down even more.
Wow.
I think both of those companies need a change in leadership. I know Bud Light needs a huge change in leadership. We just saw some videos of that Brendan Whitworth of Anheuser-Busch on CBS Morning News, and I mean, talk about a softball interview.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was not the in-depth coverage and really digging deep into the story there. It was just like, yeah, we're great. We're going to move forward. Everything's fine.
Yeah, they're talking
know.
to customers too.
Right, yeah.
Yes.
The customer is first.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
Yep.
But don't forget about the workers and the laborers that you've screwed over because you're doing this boycott,
it's
right-wingers.
It's us customers that are at fault for not buying their beer. It's not their fault for, siding, with this very offensive trans activist as a, as a spokesman in a way. But you know what? They still reiterated the thing. It was just one can of beer, one instance.
No.
And that's already been proven false. We did a video on that about basically they were intentionally working with him before as far back as February 11th of 2023. So it wasn't just one. You got Dylan's original post back then with him in a tub dancing around, there's Bud Light there. So I left a message on the CBS Morning News basically asking them, gee, why haven't you asked him about this when you had Brendan Whitworth there? And, they obviously they're not looking to do any type of real research into that. I mean, Senator Cruz actually had found that, his staff had found that out. But that guy just, that Brendan Whitworth at Anheuser-Busch, he just seems like a smug.
Yeah, he seems very sleazy.
Yeah.
And like a smooth little schmoozy
Yeah, he just thinks he's
kind
great.
of person. Yeah, he's wonderful.
I hope he loses his job. I would hope that, the board of directors there are going to be like, wow, you could not have handled this any worse. Okay, I mean, still not coming out there and saying that they did anything wrong. They just rather plunge ahead, act like, oh, well, no, everything's great. I mean, obviously they know something's wrong because he's making, these visits to, CBS Morning News. And then, they're doing these ad campaigns. If you go to their YouTube page or even their Twitter, they're getting destroyed by the comments. Yeah. Some of the comments are like, "Will you just apologize already?" Which, I mean, I've said from the start, it's never too late to apologize. I think the more they insult their customer base by going on like this, with him going on and just saying, "Oh yeah, well, we're just gonna talk to everyone and blah blah blah." Well, what does that mean? Are you listening or are you just talking to them?
Right.
Yeah. So clearly it's been, more with this person. And that's the thing, this particular trans influencer has come out now and he's attacking Bud Light.
Yes, they approached him and, it wasn't his idea and blah, blah, blah.
Which I'm sure they approached him. I'm sure he didn't go to Bud Light and say, I got this great idea.
Yeah.
I am going to get all dolled up for you and my best Audrey Hepburn look, and we'll, I'm sure they reached out to him or, through his, agent. And the thing is now he's enjoying throwing them under the bus. I'm sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I thought that it was very interesting that he made a statement before Bud Light did about, as far as really getting into it, that he is the one who came out and said something before the CEO of Bud Light did, or whatever, Anheuser-Busch, whatever he's the CEO of.
Yeah, he's the CEO of Anheuser-Busch in the United States. But DM, the trans influencer, he's attacking them for basically not standing up for him.
Right.
I mean, so maybe he was like, hey, you know what? Maybe you should be giving me some more money to shut up.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, this guy's a grifter. He's in it for the money. As we've talked about, he's just an actor. He is an actor in woman face.
Yes.
Okay? I mean, his name is still a male name.
Right.
He hasn't had the surgery. He is just an actor. And he's playing a part. And you know what? In some ways, I don't fault him. I'm like, yeah, sure, make your money. Yeah, you know, but he talk about twisting the knife.
Right. I
Bad enough he's cost them like millions of dollars. I mean, I think it's in the billions now. But
Yes, and didn't they say that they fired Alyssa Heiderscheid, and then they said they didn't?
well,
Like,
that was
so
the
which
other,
is it?
that was the thing this week. First, we heard something that she had been fired. The executive over there that made the decision,
The
Alyssa.
businesswoman.
Yes, the businesswoman. She's a businesswoman doing business things.
Yes.
You know, yeah. And she, I just find her repulsive, just to begin with.
Yes. Her unfortunate teeth.
Uh, you know, it looks like every time I see her, and I don't want to pick on someone about their looks, but every time I see that picture of her, like with her arms crossed up against the taps there, it looks to me like someone actually, like a really, really bad graphic artist, superimposed the wrong mouth on her.
Yes.
And like, I'm like, no, that's really her mouth. But that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
It's like
it's
a
just
really
too big.
bad, yeah. It almost looks like those ones that come out of China. You know, the ones you see in Amazon.com. The
Yes.
when you see these Chinese made products and they have really bad graphics.
Yes, very poor show of Photoshop skills.
Yes. Anyway, it had come out this week that they finally fired her, which I said they needed to do that a while ago. But it come out that they fired her. Then it came out like immediately afterwards. No, we didn't fire her. She's just on leave, which they've been saying since the start, which is kind of funny. Sure, she and the executive above her, as this whole thing blew up, all of a sudden decided they need more time with the family.
Yeah, that's it.
That's always the classic thing. Oh, I just want to spend more time with the family. Like, who wants to spend more time with their family?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the latest on that. As I said, things just keep getting worse for Budweiser. And as I said, they can say they're sorry now, but I don't know. Maybe it won't make a difference. I don't know. I mean, I think, it's not like it's a great beer, okay? It's available. You can go anywhere and find Budweiser. I've gone into sleazeball, redneck, hole-in-the-wall bars, and they will have, Budweiser and Bud Light.
Yeah.
Those are the high-end beers in those places. I went to one place once down in South Carolina, and that was it. They had Budweiser as their premium beer, and Pabst Blue Ribbon, or PBR, as the cool kids call it, as their lower-end beer.
Wow.
Yeah, that place was...
This is a high-end bar there.
Yes, it was very... I was very happy to get out of there without a fight. But
Yeah.
that's a story for another time. But anyway... No, so, that's the thing. So if they're going to start losing shelf space, we walked into a Walmart last week that had tons and tons of Bud Light. They actually had a couple pallets of Bud Light at the entrance. Like where they usually would have Coke or Pepsi,
Yeah.
They had Bud Light there, and they were selling it, what was it, $20 for a 30-pack.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cheap.
Yeah.
And
then they had it in the cooler, and then in the aisle.
Yeah, they had
with
another
the cooler. There was like a whole other huge stack, like 20 feet from where they had it in the cooler.
They're trying really hard to sell that. Yeah.
There wasn't anybody getting it.
And it seemed like there was a lot of Budweiser there. Unfortunately, I think some people don't realize some other products are Anheuser-Busch, like Labatt. Labatt Blue. That broke my heart because that was actually one of my favorite
I know.
Canadian ones. I especially like to drink that when watching hockey. I just felt appropriate, you know. I'll have to switch to Molson or something. Molson is with Coors. Not that they are like this right wing company. Coors is actually a very liberal company, more so than Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah, I know they toned it down this
Oh
last
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
They are like keeping their mouths shut.
As they should.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so anyway, though, with that, yeah. What else? Coors is separate. Corona. That is Anheuser-Busch. Now, I personally hate Corona. To me, it really does taste like piss. It does. Okay. If you don't add lime to it, it's really bad. Okay.
Even with lime, it
yeah.
isn't that good either.
Yeah. If you want a good Mexican beer, Dos Equis, all the way.
That's good. Amber.
Yes, the Dos Equis Amber. Yeah, the Dos Equis Lager is okay, but the Dos Equis Amber, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite beers anyway.
It's chef's kiss, as they say. I hate it when people say that.
Oh my God, yes.
I'm just kidding. I never say that, so.
Yes.
Just
that always bothered me when people say that, like chef's kiss. Like, what?
Like, why you gotta say it? Just do it. Don't say it.
Just, that would be like me saying middle finger.
Right. Exactly.
It's like
so obnoxious.
A-OK symbol.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, oh my goodness. But yeah, I like that. And actually, you're not a beer drinker, but you do like the Dos Equis.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I'm more of a liquor kind of girl. I like whiskey and vodka and tequila, all those things.
Yes.
I like the hard stuff. I'm actually having a random combination of pineapple Fanta and vodka. That's my drink of choice today.
That's very unique and interesting.
Yes.
I am with my tried and true Gansett, my throwback can to Jaws. Again, one of my all-time favorite movies. One of the things I want to talk about is, I know there's, well, we're going to get to it, is to one of my other all-time favorite movies was Indiana Jones, but I want to talk about that in a minute. I wanted to mention there were a couple of Supreme Court rulings this week that were pretty significant.
Yes.
Affirmative action as far as colleges taking race into consideration. The court has finally struck that down. That's a great day for America. It was absurd that was still in place now. Okay? I mean, come on. It really, I'm glad that's gone. And, President Biden was all upset about it. He said something like, oh, it's not a normal court when a reporter asked him about it. Now, I just saw a study, like 55% of Americans thought it was time for, race considerations in college admissions to go. Okay? I mean, this is Democrat type of stuff. They always go on, it's diversity, because that's how they measure diversity. They don't measure diversity by, like, a diverse thought process, diverse ideas. No, they measure it by skin color. So it tells you who the real racists are. Right. But anyway, so that was the big one that came out, I guess, yesterday. And it wasn't a good day for Joe and the Dems, or actually a good week with the Supreme Court. They struck down Joe Biden's plan to forgive student loan debt, which, as a taxpayer, it's a good thing that they said, no, Joe Biden, you can't do that. I mean, he was taking it upon himself as an executive order, executive caveat, that he was going to forgive all the student loan debt. Basically, the Supreme Court's like, no, Congress has to approve that, And for me, personally, I was like, whoo! I have way too much student loan debt, but you know what? I don't want other people to be paying that off for me. sure if Joe Biden wanted to take care of it for me, I was fine with it. I still wouldn't vote for the potato, but in reality, though, it's one of those type of things. No.
Yeah.
And so that was a good thing for America. So I was hoping that was a issue that would go away. I know the Democrats really can't do anything about it right now. They need both houses of Congress if they're going to try and pass something like that with the student loan forgiveness. And I think in reality, I think the Republicans might come back and be like, hey, you're going to have to, we're going to have to go after the colleges here. Maybe they should, lower their admission costs, lower their tuition costs, excuse me. It is ridiculous what people are paying in tuition. And tuition has gone up. There have been studies to show that tuition goes up consistently, not with the rate of inflation, but with the rate of available money by the government. So every time the government makes money available, there's more, the tuition goes up.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's artificially driven by colleges. And, I don't know. Anyone that can do things without going to college, too. And that's the other thing, is I think a lot of people need to start thinking about that, too, is that college is not the answer. You have so many people going to college who, and I'm not saying they're not smart enough, I'm saying their heart's not into it. They would much rather do something with their hands. They could be a lot happier and probably definitely a lot more successful doing something that's not college oriented. A trade. There's so many things that people could do.
They need people to do that right now too. There's like a shortage of
Exactly, because we have like way too many gender studies degrees that are out there. I mean, that always blew my mind. Like, oh, so what are you planning on doing with that? So, and then but anyway, that's a discussion for another day. The other thing that the Supreme Court did today is it announced that it's supporting religious rights of people who don't want to do work for religious reasons. So in this particular case, it is a person who is a graphic artist or a web designer, I think, and she does not want to do work for same-sex couples because it goes against her religious views. And it bothers me that this had to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Okay? It bothers me because way back when they started talking about gay marriage and all that was one of the things that came up and said, oh no, absolutely. People are not going to be forced to go against their religious views on this. Churches are not going to be forced to perform marriages. And then, almost right out of the gate, you saw that out in Colorado seemed to be where a lot of these were coming from. They'd pass a law saying, oh no, you can't turn people down. And it was almost like some of these shop owners were getting set up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, really? I mean, why would someone want someone to, I remember there was that case with the guy, he was a baker and he wouldn't do the cake for a gay couple, and it's like, why would you want him to do your cake at that point?
Exactly.
Go find another shop, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, but no, they had to make it a point, and guess what? Now, by doing that, you push people away from your side. Just like this trans stuff is, I really feel, hurting and pushing back on the gay and lesbian side of things. We're seeing that even with people we know, that they feel like, hey, this is hurting us, all this trans stuff, we don't agree with it, all this drag queen story hour for kids, that's not what being gay is, and
yeah.
and we've seen a lot of that. But anyway, that was another Supreme Court ruling. So it was a great day for conservatives, and we were happy to see that. I think we're going to move on to our next part of our show, which is, because again, it goes politics,
Pop culture.
and paranormal. So we're going on to our pop culture, and I like to. Another movie has come out. It's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and I love Indiana Jones. Like, my favorite movies in order would be Jaws, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes, I call it Raiders of the Lost Ark because that was the original name. It wasn't Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love that movie. That is among my all-time favorite movies, and after Jaws, so you can tell I'm a Spielberg fan. And also in there's Close Encounters, so again. But anyway, they've come out with this 5th installment of Indiana Jones with a 80-year-old Harrison Ford, who just...
Which is just mean. They should have just, I mean, it's just sad that they would just disrespect him like that. I mean, they not to, no, that sounded horrible. I don't mean that he shouldn't have been in, but the way that they
handled him.
Portrayed him
Yeah.
is really, really rude and mean. And it's just so tragic
Yeah.
that they do that to him.
Yeah. Well, they did a 4th movie that came out probably about 15 years ago. I want to say it came out in like 2007, 2008. And I thought that was kind of... The movie itself wasn't great. It was Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skulls.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, you didn't see that one.
No.
It is... Okay, it really wasn't that great. But at the same time, it had like... The good parts of it was it had him getting back together with Marion, his love interest from, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and him find out basically he had a child with her, and he's kind of a punkish kid with an attitude, and Shia LaBeouf played him. And I'm not a fan of his by any means, but I thought he did a good job in that. I know there are a lot of haters on that movie, and the whole premise of the movie is kind of stupid, but it wasn't horrible. I know people hate it, and yes, it is the worst of those first 4 movies, but it was not... Some people talk about it like it was just, mind-numbing, and it wasn't. It was just... And as I said, they kind of left it in such a way, like, okay, this is a good ending. You had him meeting his son, maybe his son, because there was a whole debate in it, like how his son should go to college, because he didn't want to go to college, and then all of a sudden, no, you got to go to college, and so they're going to be pushing him to take up the, Jones family, thing with becoming an archaeologist, and, but maybe he was one of those guys that wanted to take up a trade, which would be good. But anyway.
Right.
But that was kind of symbolic of how some families are, though, too, But anyway, like I said, I didn't think that movie was horrible. I know some people, it was horrible. It wasn't. I mean, it just wasn't that good. But I thought, okay, that was an ending to the series. Valid, good enough, fine. And then I guess it has been said that right from the get-go, after Disney acquired Lucasfilm, that's what they wanted, was another Indiana Jones movie. Why? I don't know. Apparently they thought it'd be a major blockbuster, but it as I said, you have an older Harrison Ford, so he really can't be Indiana Jones. Now, the thing is, now I haven't seen this movie. I've seen so much stuff on it. Like, you really can't even go online without seeing basically a lot of hate towards this movie. But I've seen even the spoilers for it, and I'm not going to waste my money on this movie. Okay, from what I understand, it is absolutely obnoxious as far as even the way the story goes. Everyone has said like the first 15-20 minutes are really good, but the rest of it just goes downhill. And what it is they have him with his goddaughter that we had never met before, and she is just absolutely obnoxious. And she's played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I find her obnoxious in general. But anyway, and that's the thing. I heard one guy kept referring to it as Indiana Jones and the Insufferable Feminist. That's what the movie should be called. And I won't be seeing it. I mean, one of the things right off the bat too, when I saw like even the trailers, I'm like, this is all CGI stuff. I've already talked about how much I hate the CGI stuff, especially when a movie, that's all it is. And that's what this looks like. I mean, I guess they had to do the de-aging of Harrison Ford, which some people said, some parts of that are pretty good and other parts are really bad. But they said even when you see the good stuff, like where it actually looks pretty good, you still have, 80-year-old Harrison Ford doing the voice, so that's not quite right. And
yeah, that's mean.
yeah, and the thing is, like, they destroyed him too. They really like almost broke him down, and they have him like acting like kind of an ass, and then the feminist is there to save him. And this is a classic Kathleen Kennedy. They made this movie for her. This is her pet project, and hopefully you can hear the excitement in my voice that this will be what causes her to get fired from Lucasfilm. She won't get fired. They won't renew her contract. She's going to go off into retirement. I'm hoping that's the case. Although
she needs to go.
Yeah, she's like, no, I don't know if there's more damage to be done here.
Right, I know.
I've only destroyed 2 franchises.
Right. Well, they could have made it so that, he could have taught her some stuff.
Exactly.
Like, she could have had, like, a modern spin on it. Like, be like, oh, well, we could do this way because, whatever. I mean, I don't know what time period it's set in, but whatever. She could have had, like, a different perspective or something, and he could have shown her some things. And no, he's got to be the stupid guy, and then she's got to be, all smart, knows everything right out of the gate, just like all the other women.
Well, that's the thing. She knows everything he knows, and that's the thing. So he can spend his whole life acquiring this stuff, but she knows it anyway. And that's one of the things, too, with these, like, feminist-driven movies. You can never have the female character. And Kathleen Kennedy has been going off like, oh, the haters are going to hate, basically. And these aren't fans who are boycotting this film. I am a huge fan. Okay, but she's going on about like, oh, these aren't fans who are boycotting this film. You should just see this film and judge it on your own. And you just hate that there's a strong female lead and all this. No. Do it right. Okay? Have this woman go on the journey. Okay? I don't know what it is with them that they cannot have like a female lead. You want to have the strong female lead, have her on the journey that all like protagonists have. Have her, have Indiana Jones be her mentor. Not like someone she's gonna, show up on everything. I can do this better than you. Have her going to him for advice. They just cannot bring themselves to that.
Yeah, there's never a character arc for any of the women.
No.
They're all just amazing rock star, whatever.
Look at Rey from the Star Wars ones.
Right, and that just made her seem like she was dead inside and just,
one-dimensional.
Right, like she's so boring. And little girls should have been like, yeah, that's right. And instead they were like, oh, okay. Yeah. You go, girl.
Well, the thing is, they make these movies, and it's like, well, who is your audience? You know, are there, I mean, you tell me, okay, are there little girls out there, or enough little girls? I'm sure there are some little girls, but are there enough little girls that want to be adventurers, or are there more little girls that want to be princesses?
Right, I know. I think, I mean, I'm not sure. I think most probably want to be princesses, but the ones who want to be adventurers probably have a lot more personality than Kathleen Kennedy has, you know,
With their
in her
characters?
entire lifespan, you know. I mean, I would think they
Yeah.
would not want to just,
Not be
they-
obnoxious?
right, they want to learn stuff. They want to figure stuff out. I mean, that makes little girls like that kind of badass. They're not like,
Well,
you know.
you grew up being a daddy's girl. You were very close to your father.
Yeah.
And you like to learn how to do things, but you're always...
Yeah, I would always asking him questions all the time, like about everything. Like, what does this do? What's this for? How does this work? What's this made of? How do they make that? I mean, it probably annoyed the crap out of him, but I wanted to know, you know. But I also liked Barbies, and I was girly too. I think that's the way a lot of girls are. Is they like both things. No need to pigeonhole them into just wanting to be strong women, or, you know,
Yeah.
only liking princesses. I mean, there's like a middle ground, but I think most women around the world are, you know, they want to do both things.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
That's good. But, so anyway, I think Indiana Jones is going to be a complete flop. It is something they paid, I think they spent almost $300 million on.
Wow. Where was this? Tonight is opening night for
Well,
it, right? Or
I guess
kind of.
yesterday was kind of the opening, and it's not looking good. And clearly, like, well, let's put it this way: they were worried because they had to come out with a thing where Applebee's, if you spend $35, they give you a free ticket. Now, here's how that works, though, too. When they give you that free ticket at Applebee's because you spent $35, if you're like, that's great, I don't care, I'm not going, they still count that as a ticket sale.
Yeah, that's pretty crappy.
Yeah, that is.
I think people should be boycotting Applebee's now. Just because of that.
Well, they suck too, so I won't be
Yeah,
going to Applebee's.
they're gross. Who would want to go there and then go see that movie?
I
Talk
know.
about a crappy date night. I mean, I'd rather just stay home.
Well, that's the thing. It's obviously they know it's gonna flop, and this has like been a bad summer for Walt Disney. They flopped with that movie, that Elemental one, which is like the third flop in a row for Pixar.
I never even saw anything about what that movie was about, except that it's like this little like flame person. Is it like
that's
the elements?
non-binary?
Oh, ew.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
they got to work that in there.
Of course, that's what I think of when I think of fire. Whatever.
Well, you know, I never really associated a gender with fire, so that makes sense.
No one even knew what non-binary was until, like, you know, last year anyway, when it's shoved down our throat again.
I know. So that completely flopped. Like that was, everyone was expecting it to be a flop. It has completely flopped. There was it, what was their other thing? Oh, you know, last year they had the flop with the Lightyear
Yeah.
and the controversy with that, and no one went to see it.
Pinocchio,
that's a live action remake that no one cared about, no one even heard about it till it flopped.
and that was disturbing too.
Yeah, that was. They just remade Peter Pan, which basically was a flop.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a direct-to-video thing. The Little Mermaid, everyone, you know, for racist reasons won't go see it. Not the
Right.
fact that there are people like me that hate CGI, and this. First of all, I hate it when places feel the need to remake what's considered a classic.